What if the biggest mistake most men make in love is chasing too hard? From a young age, many of us were taught that if we truly want someone, we must pursue them relentlessly. We must text first, try harder, prove our worth, and never give up. But life has a strange way of revealing a different truth. The harder you chase, the faster people run. And the moment you stop chasing, something unexpected begins to happen. People start noticing you. They start wondering about you. They start moving closer, without you forcing anything. This is not a trick, and it is not manipulation. It is a deeper principle about human nature, self-respect, and the quiet power of becoming a man who no longer seeks validation. Because in the end, the most attractive men are not the ones who chase love. They are the ones who build a life so strong, that love naturally finds its way to them. Welcome to the channel, Stoic Love Wisdom. This is where you will find valuable lessons and tips to help you build a truly lasting love. In today's video, we will explore, don't chase, attract, what belongs to you will find you, with real stories and insight. Don't miss the advice that can change the way you perceive and live in love. You will definitely feel more comfortable when you find a quiet place and put on your headphones. Let yourself relax and be ready to receive the positive messages in today's video. Are you ready to start this journey? Let's start together. Part 1, The Silent Power of Not Chasing. There is a moment in every man's life when he realizes a painful truth: the more desperately he chases something, the further it seems to run away. This truth applies to many things: success, respect, happiness, but nowhere is it more visible than in love. Many men grow up believing that love must be pursued like prey. They are taught that if they want a woman, they must chase her, impress her, prove themselves to her, and fight endlessly for her attention. They believe persistence is the ultimate proof of love. But life has a quiet way of teaching a different lesson. The men who chase the hardest are often the ones who lose the most. And the men who attract rarely need to chase at all. This is not manipulation. This is not a trick. It is something deeper, something ancient. Something the Stoic philosophers understood long before modern dating advice ever existed. True attraction is not created through pursuit. It is created through presence. The illusion of chasing. When a man begins chasing someone, something subtle happens within him. His focus shifts. Instead of standing firmly in his own life, he begins orbiting around someone else's. He checks his phone too often. He waits for replies. He adjusts his behavior to avoid losing her interest. He starts measuring his value through her attention. And slowly, without realizing it, he gives away the most important thing a man can possess: his center. The Stoics spoke often about this. Marcus Aurelius once wrote that a man must never allow external things to control his inner state. What is not under your control should never determine your peace. Yet chasing someone does exactly that. You begin to place your emotional stability in someone else's hands. And the moment you do that, your power disappears. Women, whether consciously or unconsciously, sense this shift immediately. Desperation has a scent. Neediness has a tone. And attraction cannot grow where self-respect begins to fade. Attraction is not force. Many men misunderstand attraction because they think effort creates desire. But attraction rarely works that way. You cannot force someone to admire you. You cannot argue someone into loving you. You cannot convince someone of your value if they do not already feel it. Think about the people you respect the most in life. Were they the ones trying the hardest to impress everyone? Or were they the ones who simply stood firmly in who they were? The quiet man who does not seek approval. The man who knows where he is going. The man who does not beg for attention. Those men carry a different kind of energy. They are not chasing validation. They are living their purpose. And purpose is magnetic. This is why many men make a critical mistake: they invest all their energy into pursuing someone instead of becoming someone. But attraction is not about pursuit. It is about becoming. The Stoic understanding of value. The Stoic philosophers believe that a man's worth does not come from what he obtains, but from the character he builds. Epictetus once taught that if you want to improve your life, you must stop worrying about things that are not within your control. And another person's feelings are never within your control. You cannot control whether someone chooses you. But you can control the man you become. You can control your discipline, your direction, your integrity, your calm. And when a man truly focuses on these things, something remarkable begins to happen. He stops trying to be attractive. And he becomes attractive. Without effort. Without performance. Without chasing. Because genuine confidence does not ask for attention. It quietly earns it. Why chasing often backfires. Here is a truth that many men only learn after years of frustration. The more you chase someone, the more pressure you create. And pressure kills attraction. When someone feels chased, they feel watched. When they feel watched, they feel evaluated. And when they feel evaluated, they begin to pull away. It is not cruelty. It is simply human nature. People value what feels free. They trust what feels natural. They are drawn to what does not demand their attention. This is why men who are constantly trying to prove their worth often struggle the most. Their effort, ironically, creates resistance. Meanwhile, the man who is calm, focused on his life, and emotionally self-contained appears far more intriguing. Not because he is trying to be mysterious, but because he is not trying at all. And paradoxically, that is what creates curiosity. The quiet confidence of a man with direction. There is a certain kind of man who rarely struggles with attraction. Not because he is the most handsome. Not because he is the richest. But because he carries something far more powerful. Direction. He has a life he is building. A mission he is pursuing. A discipline he follows every day. His attention is invested in growth. His mind is focused on progress. And because of this, he does not have the emotional bandwidth to chase people endlessly. If someone walks beside him, he welcomes it. If someone walks away, he continues forward. This mindset changes everything. Because the moment you stop chasing people, you start revealing your true value. You show that your life is not dependent on someone's approval. And ironically, that is often the moment people begin to move closer to you. The paradox of attraction. Attraction follows a strange law. The less you try to control it, the more naturally it appears. When a man is busy improving himself, building his life, strengthening his mind, and pursuing meaningful goals, he radiates something rare. Stability. Clarity. Inner peace. And these qualities are deeply attractive. Not just to women, but to everyone. Because in a chaotic world, people are drawn to those who remain steady. This is why the Stoic approach to love is not about manipulation or emotional games. It is about self-mastery. You do not withdraw to make someone chase you. You withdraw to build yourself. And in doing so, you become someone worth finding. A lesson life teaches slowly. Most men must learn this lesson the hard way. They chase. They overinvest. They lose themselves trying to keep someone's interest. And eventually, they realize something painful but liberating. The more they tried to hold on, the more things slipped away. But once they stepped back, once they rebuilt their own center, once they focused on their purpose instead of approval, something changed. They no longer needed to chase. Because the right people began to walk into their lives naturally. In love, sometimes we don't need too many promises, but just a little understanding and a heart that knows how to listen. It is the experiences, both happy and sad, that help us mature and know how to love more fully. Here, I want to contemplate those things with you, so that each step in the journey of love becomes more clear-headed and peaceful. If you feel that what I share is valuable, please click like to support this video. And if this is your first visit, please click subscribe and turn on the notification bell, so you don't miss the next insightful perspectives on love. I also really want to hear from you. What do you like most about today's story? Leave a comment below, because who knows, your experience might be a great source of encouragement for someone else who is listening. And now, let's continue to explore what's waiting for you. Part 2, The Law of Inner Gravity. There is a principle in life that most men only understand after years of disappointment. What you chase runs. What you build attracts. This is not poetry. It is a law of human behavior. In nature, nothing truly powerful chases for long. The sun does not chase the planets. The ocean does not chase the rivers. Instead, everything moves toward what possesses gravity. The same principle quietly governs attraction. A man who constantly pursues attention has no gravity. But a man who builds a life of substance creates a force that naturally pulls people toward him. The Stoics understood this deeply. They believed that a man should focus his life not on controlling others, but on mastering himself. Because self-mastery is the source of real attraction. The hidden energy people feel. Most people believe attraction is based on appearance, money, or charm. But in reality, attraction often begins with something far more subtle. Energy. Not mystical energy, but psychological presence. People can feel when someone is centered within themselves. They can sense when someone is comfortable with who they are. And they can also feel the opposite. They feel when someone is seeking approval. They feel when someone is afraid of being rejected. They feel when someone is trying too hard. This is why two men can say the exact same words to a woman, yet create completely different reactions. One man may appear needy. The other appears calm and confident. The difference is not the words. It is the inner state behind them. The Stoic philosophers often spoke about this inner state. Seneca wrote that the greatest power a person can have is control over their own mind. When a man is emotionally stable within himself, he becomes incredibly attractive. Not because he tries to be, but because stability is rare. In a world full of chaos, calmness stands out. Why neediness repels? Many men do not realize that neediness is one of the strongest forces that pushes people away. And the tragedy is that most needy behavior is not obvious. It hides behind good intentions. A man thinks he is showing affection. He sends too many messages. He constantly checks if she is upset. He tries to solve every problem she has. He over-explains himself. He becomes too available. At first, this may seem caring. But over time, it communicates something deeper. I need your approval to feel secure. And the moment this message appears, attraction begins to fade. Because attraction requires freedom. When someone feels responsible for another person's emotional stability, the relationship begins to feel heavy. And people instinctively move away from what feels heavy. This is why chasing almost always creates the opposite result of what a man hopes for. He thinks effort will increase attraction. But emotional pressure destroys it. The man who builds his own world. Now imagine a different type of man. He has goals that excite him. He has work that challenges him. He has discipline in his daily life. His time is valuable because he is investing it into building something meaningful. This man does not structure his day around someone else's attention. He structures his life around growth. If someone enters his life, he welcomes them. But he does not abandon his path for them. This kind of man creates a completely different emotional experience for the people around him. Being with him feels light. It feels natural. It feels optional rather than obligatory. And paradoxically, that is exactly what creates desire. Because people are drawn to those who already have a full life. Scarcity and value. There is another uncomfortable truth about attraction. What is always available is rarely valued. This does not mean playing games or pretending to be unavailable. It means having a life that naturally limits your availability. When a man is constantly waiting for someone to text him, it signals that his life has empty space. But when a man has purpose, work, goals, friendships, passions, his time becomes scarce. And scarcity creates value. This principle exists everywhere. Rare things are valued. Common things are overlooked. The same psychology applies to attention. If a man gives unlimited attention too quickly, it loses significance. But when attention is given thoughtfully and intentionally, it becomes meaningful. Stoic philosophy encourages exactly this type of restraint. Epictetus taught that discipline is freedom. When a man controls his impulses, his need to constantly reach out, to constantly seek validation, he becomes emotionally independent. And emotional independence is deeply attractive. The confidence that comes from detachment. One of the most misunderstood aspects of Stoic philosophy is detachment. Many people think detachment means coldness. It does not. Detachment means maintaining inner stability regardless of external outcomes. In relationships, this means something very powerful. You care about someone. You enjoy their presence. But your emotional well-being does not depend on them. You are capable of happiness with them. And you are capable of happiness without them. This mindset changes the entire dynamic of attraction. Because when someone senses that you are not afraid to lose them, your presence becomes far more powerful. Not because you threaten to leave. But because you are not clinging. Clinging signals fear. Calm signals strength. The magnetism of self-respect. Self-respect is one of the strongest attractors in human relationships. But self-respect is not something you declare. It is something people observe. They see it in the way you speak. They see it in the boundaries you maintain. They see it in the way you refuse to tolerate disrespect. A man who constantly chases approval cannot maintain these boundaries. But a man who respects himself naturally does. If someone does not value him, he does not argue. He does not beg. He simply continues walking his path. This behavior sends a very powerful message. My value does not depend on your recognition. And paradoxically, this is often what makes people begin to recognize it. Why attraction follows purpose. There is a reason many men become more attractive as they grow older. It is not just maturity. It is clarity. Young men often focus on being liked. Older men begin focusing on building their lives. And the moment a man shifts his attention from seeking approval to pursuing purpose, everything changes. His conversations become more grounded. His presence becomes calmer. His decisions become clearer. He stops asking, how can I impress people? And starts asking, what kind of life am I building? Purpose replaces performance. And purpose creates gravity. The quiet truth most men learn late. The most attractive men are rarely the ones trying to be attractive. They are the ones who are deeply engaged in their own lives. They are creating, building, learning, improving. Their attention is invested in growth rather than validation. And because of this, their presence carries weight. They do not need to chase attention. Attention begins to move toward them. But this raises an important question. If a man stops chasing, if he focuses on building himself, if he lives with purpose and self-respect, Then how should he behave when love actually appears? Should he stay distant? Should he remain detached? Or is there a deeper balance between strength and connection? Part 3, Strength without distance. The balance between love and self-mastery. There is a mistake many men make when they first discover the philosophy of not chasing. They believe the answer is to become distant, cold, emotionally unavailable. They think that if chasing pushes people away, then the opposite, indifference, must attract them. But this is not wisdom. This is simply another extreme. And extremes rarely lead to healthy relationships. The Stoic path is not about emotional suppression. It is about emotional discipline. A Stoic man does not avoid love. He simply refuses to lose himself within it. Love should add to your life, not replace it. Many men fall into a dangerous trap when they meet someone they truly like. Slowly, without realizing it, they begin reorganizing their entire life around that person. Their schedule changes. Their priorities shift. Their goals become secondary. And before long, their world begins revolving around the relationship. At first, this may feel romantic. But over time, it creates imbalance. Because attraction thrives when two complete individuals walk beside each other, not when one person becomes the center of the other's universe. The Stoics understood that a man must never surrender his inner foundation to external circumstances. Marcus Aurelius wrote that a man must stand firmly within his own character, regardless of what happens around him. This applies to love as well. When you meet someone special, they should complement your life, not consume it. Your purpose remains. Your growth continues. Your discipline stays intact. Because a relationship should be a shared journey, not an identity replacement. The difference between interest and need. A mature man understands the difference between wanting someone and needing someone. Wanting someone is healthy. Needing someone is dangerous. When you want someone, you appreciate their presence. You enjoy their company. You choose them freely. But when you need someone, fear enters the relationship. Fear of losing them. Fear of disappointing them. Fear of not being enough. And fear changes behavior. A man who is afraid begins to overcompensate. He becomes overly accommodating. He avoids honest conversations. He sacrifices his boundaries. And slowly, he stops being the man she was originally attracted to. Ironically, the very effort to keep the relationship alive begins to weaken it. Because attraction cannot survive where authenticity disappears. Emotional control is not emotional absence. One of the most misunderstood aspects of Stoic philosophy is emotional control. Some people believe Stoicism means suppressing feelings. But that is not what the Stoics taught. The Stoics believed emotions should be understood, not blindly obeyed. A man can feel love deeply while still maintaining control over his actions. He can care without becoming desperate. He can invest emotionally without losing clarity. Epictetus taught that we suffer not from events themselves, but from the way we interpret them. In relationships, this insight is incredibly powerful. If someone takes longer to respond to a message, a man without emotional control might assume rejection. He becomes anxious. He overthinks. He reacts impulsively. But a Stoic man pauses. He observes his thoughts. He understands that not every moment requires a reaction. This calmness creates stability. And stability creates trust. The power of emotional stability. Emotional stability is one of the most underrated qualities in attraction. Many people believe excitement and passion are the most important elements of love. But long-term attraction often depends on something far deeper. Safety. Not safety in the sense of boredom, but emotional safety. When someone feels that your emotions are unpredictable, they begin to walk carefully around you. But when someone knows that you remain grounded regardless of circumstances, they feel relaxed in your presence. This is why emotionally disciplined men often build stronger relationships. They are not easily shaken by small conflicts. They do not explode in jealousy. They do not become insecure when attention fluctuates. Their calm presence becomes a source of stability. And stability is incredibly attractive. Boundaries create respect. Another important lesson in Stoic love is the importance of boundaries. Many men believe that saying yes to everything will make them more lovable. But the opposite is often true. When a man has no boundaries, he slowly loses respect. Not because he is kind, but because he is predictable. He tolerates everything. He accepts every behavior. He adapts to every demand. And over time, this signals weakness rather than generosity. True kindness includes self-respect. A man who values himself will protect his time, his energy, and his dignity. If something crosses his boundaries, he addresses it calmly. Not aggressively. Not emotionally. But firmly. This kind of behavior communicates something very powerful. I respect you, but I also respect myself. And relationships built on mutual respect are far stronger than those built on constant accommodation. The balance between strength and warmth. The most attractive men are not the coldest men. They are the most balanced. They possess strength and warmth at the same time. They are calm, but not distant. Confident, but not arrogant. Caring, but not needy. This balance is rare because it requires deep self-awareness. It requires understanding when to open your heart, and when to protect your boundaries. A Stoic man does not close himself off from love. He simply refuses to abandon his inner stability for it. He can laugh, connect, and enjoy deeply. But he always remains rooted in who he is. Why authenticity creates the strongest attraction. Many people try to perform a version of themselves they believe others will find attractive. But performance cannot last forever. Eventually, the real personality emerges. This is why authenticity is far more powerful than strategy. When a man is authentic, he does not waste energy pretending. He speaks honestly. He behaves naturally. He does not constantly calculate how he should appear. And this creates something rare in modern relationships. Trust. Because authenticity signals confidence. It shows that you are comfortable enough with yourself to be seen as you are. And confidence rooted in authenticity is far more attractive than any carefully constructed persona. The man who cannot be easily shaken. Perhaps the most powerful quality a man can develop in love is emotional resilience. Life will always contain uncertainty. People will change. Relationships may evolve. Sometimes love grows deeper. Sometimes it fades. A Stoic man understands this reality. He does not cling to outcomes. He appreciates what exists in the present moment. And if circumstances change, he adapts without losing himself. Seneca once wrote that the strongest person is the one who remains calm even when life becomes unpredictable. This strength is incredibly attractive. Because it signals that you are not fragile. You are steady. Grounded. Resilient. When love meets a man who is already whole. When a woman meets a man who is emotionally stable, purposeful, and authentic, something different happens. She does not feel like she must carry the relationship. She does not feel pressured to constantly reassure him. She simply experiences his presence. And that presence feels calm. Confident. Secure. This is the essence of Stoic love. Not coldness. Not manipulation. But inner completeness. A man who is already whole does not chase love. He welcomes it when it appears. But this leads to an important realization. If a man stops chasing, if he builds himself, if he loves without losing his center, then something fascinating begins to happen. People start becoming curious about him. They begin moving closer on their own. Why does this happen? What psychological forces create this shift? Love is actually like a mirror reflecting the inner self. When we are calm enough, we will realize that every challenge, every silence carries a valuable lesson. And that is what I want to convey through each story on this channel. If you feel that these shares bring value, please leave a like to support the channel. And don't forget to subscribe, because who knows, one day, just a small idea from these videos can change the way you look at love, at yourself. Let's continue with me, because there are many interesting things waiting for you to discover. Part 4, The Psychology of Attraction, Why People Move Toward What Doesn't Chase Them. There is a quiet psychological truth that governs human relationships, yet few people ever speak about it openly. People are naturally drawn toward what does not desperately seek them. This may sound paradoxical at first. After all, many men believe that showing constant interest, attention, and availability will increase their chances in love. But human psychology often works in the opposite direction. When attention is freely available everywhere, it loses its value. But when attention is given selectively and calmly, it becomes meaningful. This is one of the reasons why the man who stops chasing often becomes the man people begin to notice. Not because he is playing games, but because he has something many others lack. Emotional independence. The human mind and the value of mystery. Human beings are curious by nature. We are drawn toward things we do not fully understand. This curiosity is deeply embedded in our psychology. When something feels predictable and easily accessible, our minds tend to move on quickly. But when something feels slightly out of reach, when it carries a sense of depth or mystery, we naturally want to explore it. This is why people are often intrigued by individuals who are calm, focused, and not constantly seeking validation. Such people appear grounded in their own world. They are not trying to be impressive. They are simply living with intention. And that creates curiosity. People begin asking themselves, who is this person? What drives him? Why does he seem so unaffected by attention? Curiosity is one of the first sparks of attraction. The scarcity principle in human behavior. There is a psychological principle that appears in almost every area of life. Things that are scarce are perceived as valuable. Things that are abundant are often taken for granted. This principle affects relationships more than most people realize. If someone is constantly available, constantly responding instantly, constantly prioritizing another person's attention above everything else, their presence begins to feel ordinary, predictable, expected. And once something becomes expected, appreciation slowly fades. But when a person has a life full of purpose, work, passions, responsibilities, their attention naturally becomes more selective. Their time is not unlimited. And because it is limited, it becomes meaningful. This is not manipulation. It is simply the natural result of having a life that matters. A man who is building something meaningful cannot spend every hour seeking approval from others. And this limitation creates value. The attraction of emotional freedom. Another powerful force in attraction is freedom. People are drawn toward relationships that feel light rather than heavy. When someone feels pressured to constantly maintain another person's happiness, the relationship begins to feel like a responsibility rather than a connection. But when someone feels free to choose the relationship each day, the dynamic changes completely. Freedom creates desire. Pressure destroys it. This is why a man who is emotionally independent often becomes more attractive over time. He is not constantly seeking reassurance. He is not measuring every interaction. He simply enjoys the connection while continuing to live his life. And this creates a sense of emotional space. Space allows attraction to breathe. The confidence that cannot be faked. True confidence is not loud. It is quiet. It appears in the way a man carries himself when things are uncertain. It appears in the way he handles rejection. It appears in the way he continues moving forward without bitterness. Many people attempt to imitate confidence through words or posture. But real confidence cannot be performed. It is the natural result of self-respect. A man who respects himself does not beg for attention. He does not chase validation. He does not become angry when someone fails to recognize his worth. He simply continues building his life. And people notice this. Not because he is demanding attention, but because his calm self-assurance stands out in a world where many are constantly seeking approval. Why detachment creates curiosity. One of the most misunderstood concepts in attraction is detachment. Detachment does not mean a lack of interest. It means the absence of desperation. A detached man can enjoy someone's company deeply. He can laugh, connect, and share meaningful experiences. But he does not panic when things slow down. He does not become anxious when someone pulls away slightly. He does not chase relentlessly to restore control. Instead, he remains calm. This calmness sends a powerful signal. It communicates that his emotional state does not depend on external outcomes. And when people sense this emotional independence, it often triggers curiosity. They begin to wonder what gives him such stability. What anchors him so deeply? And curiosity often evolves into attraction. The magnetism of a man with direction. Perhaps the strongest force of attraction is direction. A man who knows where he is going in life carries a different kind of presence. His energy is focused. His time is structured. His decisions are intentional. He is not drifting through life waiting for approval. He is moving forward with purpose. This kind of focus naturally creates magnetism. Because people are drawn toward those who appear grounded in something meaningful. When someone enters the life of a man with direction, they feel like they are stepping into a journey rather than becoming the entire destination. And this dynamic creates balance. Two individuals walking side by side rather than one person carrying the entire emotional weight of the relationship. The calm strength that stands out. In modern dating culture, emotional reactions often happen quickly. Messages are sent impulsively. Expectations rise instantly. Conflicts escalate rapidly. In such an environment, calmness becomes rare. A man who remains composed stands out immediately. He does not overreact to small misunderstandings. He does not rush to conclusions. He does not let temporary emotions dictate permanent decisions. This calm strength creates a sense of reliability. People feel safe around individuals who are emotionally grounded. Because stability signals maturity. And maturity is deeply attractive. Attraction grows in space, not pressure. One of the most important truths about attraction is this. It grows in space. Not in pressure. When someone has the freedom to miss you, their appreciation for your presence grows. When someone has the opportunity to reflect on your conversations, your value becomes clearer. But when interactions become constant and overwhelming, the mind has no room to develop longing. Everything becomes immediate. And what is immediate is often taken for granted. This is why a man who lives a full life, who spends time building, learning, and growing, naturally creates space in his relationships. Not because he is distant, but because he is balanced. And within that balance, attraction has room to deepen. When you stop chasing, the dynamic changes. At some point in life, many men experience a surprising shift. They stop chasing. They focus on their growth. They build their careers, their discipline, their inner strength. And suddenly, something unexpected happens. People begin reaching out to them. Opportunities appear more frequently. Conversations become more engaging. Respect increases. It feels almost mysterious. But the explanation is simple. When you stop seeking validation, your behavior changes. Your words become more relaxed. Your actions become more intentional. Your presence becomes more grounded. And these subtle changes create a completely different emotional experience for the people around you. The final realization before true mastery. But there is one final realization that separates ordinary understanding from true wisdom. The goal of not chasing is not to attract people. The goal is to build a life so meaningful that attraction becomes a natural side effect. When a man reaches this stage, he no longer measures his worth through relationships. He values connection, but he does not depend on it. He welcomes love, but he does not lose himself within it. He understands something many people spend years trying to learn. Love should enhance your life, not define it. And this leads to the final piece of the Stoic philosophy of attraction. If you truly stop chasing, if you build yourself, if you live with purpose, calmness, and self-respect, then what happens when the right person finally appears? Part 5, when the right person appears, let love walk beside you, not ahead of you. At some point in a man's journey, something quietly shifts inside him. He stops chasing. Not because he has given up on love, but because he has finally discovered something far more important. His own center. He begins focusing on building his life. His discipline, his purpose, his character, and his peace of mind. Days become more structured. Decisions become clearer. His attention moves away from seeking approval and toward creating meaning. And then something interesting happens. Without trying, without forcing, without chasing, the right kind of people begin appearing in his life. Not everyone, but the ones who truly belong. This is the quiet paradox of attraction. When you stop running after everything, what truly aligns with you begins walking toward you. The man who no longer needs to prove himself. A man who has walked through enough experiences eventually reaches a powerful realization. He no longer needs to convince anyone of his worth. In his younger years, he may have tried. He tried to impress. He tried to perform. He tried to become whatever he believed others would admire. But life slowly teaches a different lesson. The people who truly belong in your life do not require constant proof. They recognize your value through your presence, your consistency, and your character. And the ones who cannot see it were never meant to stay. This realization brings an incredible sense of calm. Because once a man stops trying to be accepted by everyone, he finally becomes free to be himself. Authenticity replaces performance. And authenticity creates the deepest connections. Love should feel like peace, not anxiety. Many people grow up believing that love must feel intense, dramatic, and overwhelming. They associate passion with emotional turbulence. But as a man becomes wiser, his understanding of love changes. He begins valuing peace more than excitement. A healthy relationship does not feel like a constant emotional roller coaster. It feels stable, comfortable, grounded. You do not spend your days wondering if the other person will suddenly disappear. You do not feel the need to constantly prove your value. Instead, there is mutual respect, mutual effort, mutual understanding. The Stoics believe that the greatest form of happiness comes from inner tranquility. Marcus Aurelius often reminded himself that peace of mind is one of the most valuable things a person can protect. Love, when it is healthy, should protect that peace, not destroy it. Choosing, not clinging. One of the most mature forms of love is choosing someone freely. Not because you fear loneliness. Not because you need validation, but because you genuinely enjoy building life with that person. This distinction is subtle but powerful. Clinging comes from fear. Choosing comes from strength. When a man clings to someone, he is afraid of losing them. When a man chooses someone, he simply appreciates their presence. If the relationship grows, he celebrates it. If life takes a different direction, he adapts without losing himself. This mindset creates a very different kind of connection. It removes pressure. It removes desperation. And it allows the relationship to grow naturally. Walking beside each other. The healthiest relationships are not built on dependence. They are built on partnership. Two individuals with their own goals, values, and identities choosing to walk beside each other. Neither person carries the entire emotional weight. Neither person sacrifices their entire identity. Instead, both people grow individually while supporting each other's journey. This dynamic creates long-term attraction. Because admiration continues to grow when both partners are evolving. A man who continues improving himself, learning, building, and expanding his mind, remains interesting. And a relationship where both individuals are growing becomes stronger over time rather than stagnant. The strength to let go. Perhaps the most powerful aspect of Stoic love is the ability to let go when necessary. Not every connection is meant to last forever. Some relationships teach lessons. Some help us grow. Some simply appear during a particular chapter of life. But wisdom lies in recognizing when something is no longer aligned. A man who understands his value does not force relationships that require constant struggle. He does not beg someone to stay. He does not sacrifice his dignity to avoid loneliness. Instead, he accepts reality with calm strength. Seneca once wrote that a wise person accepts what life brings and uses every experience as an opportunity for growth. This perspective transforms heartbreak into wisdom. Loss becomes a lesson rather than a defeat. And every experience strengthens the man he becomes. The ultimate attraction. In the end, the greatest form of attraction is not physical appearance, charm, or clever words. It is self-mastery. A man who has mastered himself carries a presence that cannot be easily ignored. He is calm in chaos. Confident without arrogance. Caring without neediness. Focused without obsession. This balance creates a quiet magnetism. People feel comfortable around him. They respect him. They trust his stability. And when love enters his life, it does not consume him. It complements him. A final lesson from experience. If there is one lesson that life teaches every experienced man, it is this. You cannot chase what is not meant for you. And you do not need to chase what truly belongs in your life. When you spend your energy becoming the strongest, wisest, and most authentic version of yourself, something remarkable happens. Your standards rise. Your patience grows. Your understanding deepens. You stop settling for connections that drain your energy. And you become capable of recognizing the rare ones that bring peace and growth. At that point, love stops being a pursuit. It becomes a natural encounter between two people who have already built themselves. The Stoic truth about love. The Stoic path does not reject love. It simply places it in the right position. Love is not the center of your life. Your character is. Your discipline is. Your purpose is. When those foundations are strong, love becomes something beautiful rather than something fragile. You do not chase it. You welcome it. You nurture it. But you never abandon yourself for it. Because the strongest relationships are not built by people searching for completion. They are built by people who are already whole. And perhaps that is the deepest truth behind the phrase. Do not chase. Attract. When you build a life filled with purpose, calmness, and self-respect. The people who truly belong in your journey will not need to be pursued. They will recognize your path. And they will choose to walk beside you. Conclusion. In the end, the lesson is far simpler than most people expect, yet far deeper than most people realize. Love was never meant to be a race of pursuit. It was never meant to be a struggle for attention, a constant effort to prove your worth, or a desperate attempt to hold on to someone who is unsure about you. Real love does not grow from pressure. It grows from alignment. The Stoic path reminds us that the most powerful thing a man can build is not the ability to chase people, but the ability to master himself. When a man strengthens his discipline, clarifies his purpose, and builds a life filled with meaning, something remarkable begins to happen. He becomes centered. He becomes calm. He becomes whole. And a man who is whole does not need to run after validation. His presence speaks before his words do. His actions carry weight. His peace becomes his greatest strength. This is the quiet power of attraction. It is not about manipulation or playing games. It is about becoming someone whose life naturally invites the right people to step into it. Because the truth is simple. The people who are meant for you will recognize your value without needing to be convinced. And the ones who cannot see it were never meant to walk beside you in the first place. So instead of chasing approval, chase growth. Instead of seeking attention, build character. Instead of trying to force love, become the kind of man whose life naturally attracts it. Walk your path with purpose. Protect your peace. Strengthen your mind. And trust that what truly belongs in your life will not need to be chased. It will find you. Thank you for taking the time to watch today's video. Hopefully the sharing about love and lessons from this video will help you have new thoughts and find empathy. If you find the video useful, don't forget to like, subscribe to the channel and share with those around you. Each of us has our own stories about love, and I'm happy to explore them with you. See you in the next videos. Wishing you a wonderful day filled with love.